Hello, I'm Belkis Perez. Thanks for watching Coral Gables Television. Today on Coral Gables Now, several beautification projects will change the landscape of the city for the better. Is there an economic boom coming our way? We'll talk to the experts about future growth and what that means for you. Plus, dine at some of the city's best restaurants without the big price tag. And thank goodness for this resident's creative ideas and sweet tooth. Her cake empire got started in her Coral Gables home. Those stories and much more. Plus, look at this beautiful view. We'll tell you where we are when you join me. Coral Gables Now starts right now. Welcome to Coral Gables Now. I'm Belkis Perez. We are on the rooftop of the building on Ponce. This is a beautiful Class A office building located at 2990 Ponce de Leon Boulevard. Now, this is a building that is like no other in the city, and I'll get to that a little later. But first, I want to tell you about this economic boom that we're supposed to be experiencing in the next few years and how it's making buildings like this one so sensible. Now, here to talk to us about that economic growth is Jody Johnson. She's the owner of Miami Growth Advisors right here in the Gables. Thank you so much, Jody, for being here.
It's my pleasure, Belkis.
So tell me about this economic boom that we will soon experience, and what do you think will be the catalyst to that?
Well, Belkis, we're already experiencing it. And the catalyst for that, in my opinion, is the expansion of the Panama Canal. Now, the expansion of the lock system there is going to allow for these large cargo ships to be coming from around the world through the Panama Canal and then into the port of Miami. This is why they pushed so strongly for the dredging and for the tunnel that we built, east-west tunnel that we built from the port out. The ships coming in here are of a depth that require that dredging. So they've invested in the port, in that dredging, in the tunnels, and in additional gantry cranes to be able to unload these ships. Once they've unloaded them, Florida East Coast Railroad has put their train station back in at the port. So they take them from the ship to the train, and the Florida East Coast Railroad has repaired their tracks and put down new tracks to allow these cargo containers to go right straight out of the port up the state of Florida into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and arrive and unload there before the ship could ever even make it up to a port like Virginia. So this movement of cargo coming in from around the world through the Panama Canal into the port of Miami, and then our ability and our infrastructure to get that up to the east side of the U.S. quickly is the catalyst for what's going to be happening here in Miami and that growth.
So I understand, I get that, and it seems like this is going to make the Port of Miami even better as far as the hub now for importing and exporting. But I see how it can affect multinationals. Tell me how a city like Coral Gables, a mom and pop shop here, how could that growth affect us here in the city?
It's a great question. So as I was describing to you, the infrastructure, in the big business, that world is very clear. It's all coordinated, right? But most of the small business owners have no idea how what's going on at the port and the Florida East Coast Railroad impacts them. That's why we created Miami Growth Advisors. You may know this, a lot of people don't, that South Florida has the highest concentration of small business owners in the entire country, and many of them are family-owned businesses. Now think about it. Everything that's associated with this influx of cargo, of infrastructure building, requires a small business to service it. The companies that are helping to lay down the tracks, the companies that are associated with moving that cargo, the logistics, the transport, the warehousing, all of those companies are small companies that support the efforts of these larger endeavors that are taking place. Now, everybody that's investing here in Miami will need a place to sleep. They've got to buy clothes. They've got to go to a restaurant. They need to send their kids to school. They need to buy cars. They need office space. They need printers. They need an attorney. So the way I see it, and I've dubbed this from the port of Miami all the way out into Medley and Doral, the 836 corridor, because you see it goes right from the port straight down 836, bordering Coral Gables, into the airport, into the train station, and on into the warehousing and manufacturing districts of Doral and Medley. So all these associated businesses support that kind of investment and that kind of infrastructure growth that we're having.
So what is this a good opportunity for people that have been out of the job market for a while and to get back into it, or to prepare themselves to get back into this market?
Well, here's what I would say about that. Today, there's an enormous infrastructure emerging for entrepreneurialism in startups, in technology, in biosciences, in the creative endeavors and design and so on. And the One Community, One Goal has targeted several industries that we want to emerge here by design that we have a natural ability to support. So if somebody is interested in starting a business, there's a lot of resources available for them now. Now, having said that, other people who may not be interested in what it takes to be an entrepreneur, those industries are going to be flourishing and will be hiring more and more people. So I think you're going to see an enormous amount of job growth in the next decade.
What's the number one thing that you're advising your business clients to
do?
When
we first started this back in the fall of last year, it occurred to me, and there's a paper that I've written about it, how it relates to the small business community, that there's a particular point in time when all of these things that are happening are converging, which is the beginning of 2015. So we have 18 months to 2 years to get your business ready to be able to ride this wave of opportunity. Governor Scott and the studies show that there'll be an additional $30 billion flowing through Miami and South Florida in the next decade. So if your business is ready and you have a $500,000 business that'll become a $2 million business, $2 million business to become a $10 million business, you've got to look at your business model. You've got to be clear about your strategy. You've got to be prepared financially, have your house in order for funding. You've got to have the right people in the right seats doing the right things, so attracting and retaining good talent. You've got to be taking your metrics and doing the business analytics that will allow you to know exactly what's happening with your business. You've got to mitigate your risk. You've got to be prepared for protecting your wealth and growing your wealth. So there's a number of things that business owners can do today to be ready to ride this, but they've got to do the critical thinking. They've got to invest the time. They've got to make sure they've got the right talent.
Jody, last question. We've seen around the city that there is a lot of construction taking place, a lot of new buildings, a lot of beautification projects, even here along Ponce behind us. Do you think that also is a great way to prepare for economic growth? Do you think that also stirs it up?
I think it does stir it up. I think that what it does is it gets people re-engaged. However, like this building where you're looking at Class A space, Miami doesn't have a lot of Class A space, but people that are coming here from around the world, and I will tell you that there are companies around the world that have somebody hired just to look for economic opportunities around the world, and they're investing in Miami. So they want to be in a Class A space like this. And Coral Gables in particular, by design, was created to be the city beautiful. I mean, they designed this 100 years ago, right? So it's got more amenities, more restaurants, more services, more beautiful homes and schools by design. And when people come from around the world to be a part of a city like this, they want those kinds of things. So they're looking for those kinds of things. They want a high standard of life, and Coral Gables can certainly provide that.
All right. right, thank you so much, Jody. Very interesting information. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
And if you want any more information, or Jody has also written a bunch of white papers as well. If you want more information on those and how you can get your business ready, you can go to her website. It's miamigrowthadvisors.com. We'll be right back with more of Coral Gables Now. Welcome back to Coral Gables Now. We are on the rooftop of the building on Ponce, which is located right on the corner of Ponce de Leon Boulevard and Catalonia. Now, this building is the first one to participate in the city's Art in Public Places program. Now, on the southwest wall of the building, there are 4 steel birds, each one weighing about a ton each. It's the creation of artist John Angie, a beautiful tribute to the people who developed this building and also who now occupy it. Now, there are more construction projects taking place around the city here that, when complete, will also beautify the city as well. All around the city, there are signs of progress. Several beautification projects are currently underway. We sat down with Assistant Public Works Director Ernesto Pino for an update. First, the beautification of the green space located at the intersection of Old Cutler Road and Tiziano Avenue.
You'll have ground cover plantings along Old Cutler Road, different species. It'll just make that whole triangular area come alive.
Ingraham Park, until now a large green space with just a few trees, is also in the middle of a large beautification project that will include many amenities.
It includes a fabulous fountain, which is going to be the centerpiece of the entire project. It will have walkways connecting the entire park, with the fountain being the focal point. It'll have an exercise station, just site furnishings, picnic tables, drinking fountains. It'll have a perimeter low wall, stone wall, and the fountain will also be surrounded with a trellis.
Several intersections of neighborhood streets are now looking more like they belong in Coral Gables. The city focused on 4 intersections: Manatee Avenue and Hardy Road, Camposano Avenue and University Drive, Valencia Avenue and Cardenas Street, and San Amaro Court and San Amaro Drive.
It was really just a lot of paved intersections. You see a lot of asphalt there. So what we've done is we realigned the intersection to make it a more easily traveled intersection, safer. And then by doing that, we've created pockets of green area now that we've landscaped, irrigated, and planted. In some areas, we've planted trees.
Lejeune Road, one of the most heavily traveled roads in the city, yet you wouldn't know you were in Coral Gables until now.
That project will have the Alexander Palms all the way from Altara Avenue all the way to the city limits on the north, Mendoza. It's a raised median with curbs, Green Island ficus, and very annuals at the end of each of the medians.
The stately palm trees in the medians on Alhambra Circle from Lejeune Road to Ponce de Leon Boulevard have been in place for almost 2 years. Phase 2 of the project is now underway. It involves adding an irrigation system, ground cover, and landscape lighting, which will make the median look as beautiful at night as it looks during the day.
It will illuminate the ground covers, it will illuminate the Bismarck palms, and it will also illuminate the tall medjool palms.
And finally, the medians on Ponce are looking wonderful, but the landscape areas adjacent to the sidewalks were in very poor condition.
The shrubs were not the healthiest of them all, so now this project will actually eliminate or remove the old shrubs, and we'll plant again the same Green Island ficus ground cover that was planted in the medians. It'll have irrigation, and we will also, which has already been completed, plant Alexander palms throughout the entire segment of what was Phase 1 and Phase 2 projects of Ponce, which is from Salamanca to Almeria.
And these are the palm trees that Ernesto was talking about. They've been planted all along the sidewalks here on Ponce de Leon Boulevard. And once the landscaping project here is complete, it's really going to tie in the entire look of the boulevard, especially with those beautiful medians that have been completed behind us. Now, cultural activities and events also add value to the community. There is one community leader who is very adamant and loves to promote Hispanic culture in the city, but very few people know about his other passion, and that is painting. Veronica Fernandez has that story.
Yes, Belkis, and I'm here at the beautiful Cielo restaurant located in Coral Gables at 264 Giralda Avenue. And next to me, I have Emilio Sauma Jr. He is the president of the Gables Hispanic Cultural Foundation. A lot of us don't know that he's also an artist. In fact, he creates some of the pieces that we see here in the restaurant. But tell me, Emilio, how was it that you started your career as an artist?
I think I've been an artist all my life, and at a young age, I started to work with the colors, with paintings, drawing, etc., etc. But really back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, that's when I really set myself to really get into my career as an artist. And that's when everything started to go boom with my art.
What are some of the things that inspire you to create such beautiful paintings?
Thank you. I think everything, life, people, friends, my family, everything that is around me has a meaning. So I try to absorb as much as I can from all of that and bring it into a canvas.
Sauma was born in Cuba and came to the United States at the age of 12.
I see influences from Cuban artists such as Amelia Peláez and Portocarrero. Tell us a little bit about how they have influenced your art.
I always, since I was young, I always kept my eyes on the great artists, like you mentioned, Amelia Peláez and Portocarrero and Mijares and Kundo, a great artist that I had the opportunity to work with and be with, okay, almost like a mentor to me. But yes, sometimes they say that I'm a young artist with the characteristics of the masters, because I still continue to bring, within my own style, but I bring some of those masters' influences.
Two of Sauma's pieces are now on display at Bloomingdale's at the Falls. It all started with a painting the artist donated for a breast cancer charity. The store liked his work so much that they decided to exhibit two more of his pieces to be permanently at the store for the delight of shoppers. The two paintings are for sale, and soon the artist will be collaborating with Bloomingdale's to carry more of his collection.
I felt extremely honored, to be honest with you. Another good friend was the one with the idea of doing this, Jessica. And she said, Emilio, you know, I think that Bloomingdale's will be a great place for your art to be. You know, I don't see any Hispanic or Cuban art in any of the stores, and maybe they'd be an edge. They're doing this event, and maybe you can be part of this event. And the event was the breast cancer. And that's when I donated a beautiful piece for their event, that it was in conjunction with Baptist Hospital, I believe. And it was a tremendous success. And ever since then, they welcomed me to be part of the Bloomingdale's family. And there I am now, and all the plants are coming out. I think it's a great thing that happened to me.
Beyond his art, Emilio Sauma supports other local artists in our city. He founded the Gables Hispanic Cultural Foundation with the purpose of preserving the Hispanic culture in South Florida.
One of the reasons why the festival and the foundation came to life was because of the arts. I wanted to promote the culture here in the city of Coral Gables and in South Florida. And promoting that will make this festival something where all the cultures can get together and the community participate. But to bring the artists that are in need of having a place where to show their work and where to perform, you know, and either artists that are painters and musicians, etc., was my main idea of the festival.
Thank you, Emilio. And if you want to know more about the artist, you can visit the artist's Facebook page at facebook.com/artsauma. That's all I have. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Veronica. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to head back to the building on Ponce for more of Coral Gables Now.
Things can get pretty ugly when you're bored. In an after-school program, you can find something way better to do.
Welcome back. 3 Coral Gables women helped organize a national competition to find the opera stars of tomorrow. And of course, their culturally rich hometown helped them take the show to new heights. American Idol launched these singers into stardom. Here in South Florida, same concept, but this competition was for budding opera singers. The Young Patronesses of Opera voice competition attracted hundreds of aspiring young opera students and singers from around the country. It is one of the most prestigious national competitions, and this year it was up to these 3 Coral Gables residents to organize.
This event takes a year to put on, so the 3 of us living close together really does help because we have to meet so often.
And we're actually 5 minutes apart. We're all in the South Gables.
The pressure was on to make this year's event bigger and better. And so this year, for the first time, the competition was held at the Adrian Arsht Center.
We started out very small in the DeFilippi Center, which was in Coral Gables, as a matter of fact, on Coral Way. And then we graduated to the Surf Club, and then to Coral Gables, to the University of Miami, and now to the Arsht Center.
We felt that a contest like this, with the amount of money we give, which is $46,000, really deserved the Arsht Center and a bigger audience, which the Arsht Center can accommodate.
Still, Coral Gables and the University of Miami do hold a special place in the hearts of these women.
Yes.
We used to have a separate University of Miami prize, and whenever we do have a singer from UM, we have an award for that, a special UM award, yes.
The change of venue did make it possible for hundreds of people to attend, but it also provided the participants a grand stage, giving the aspiring artists a taste of what their future holds. Changing topics now, it's called Restaurant Week, but it's almost a full month. You can enjoy some of the best restaurants in the city for great prices. Joining us to talk about it is Mari Gale from the Business Improvement District. Mari, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on such a gorgeous day here in Coral Gables, yes.
So tell me, okay, so Restaurant Week is now, it's so good, it's almost this full month. Give me the dates on that.
Well, we have so many fabulous restaurants and new restaurants that 1 week wasn't enough. So this year we've gone to 3 weeks. We have 33 restaurants participating. So start running now and working out because you're going to have to eat your way through Coral Gables later in the month.
Okay, and so you've got 33 restaurants now. That's higher than other years.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're just so proud. We have so many fabulous restaurants that have been here a long time, but then we have all these new restaurants that are coming to town. Critically acclaimed, and they've come into the program. We actually have one restaurant that will have just opened, Sushi Samba. So they're preparing right now, and they're getting their Restaurant Week menus ready as well. So we're super excited that we're going to be able to do this for, make Coral Gables the place to eat in June.
Yeah. So tell me about the menus. Are there any special menus for these events, and the prices?
Yes, I have my little cheat sheet here with 33 restaurants, but generally speaking, the menus are 3-course menus, and they represent at least 20% savings. So it's not like Miami Spice where there's a fixed price. We have everything from $13 to $25 at lunch for 3 courses, and at dinner it's $17 to $39, ranges more so.
So you can pick, so there is something for everyone. You're
absolutely.
Right.
And one of the things you can do is before you come out is you can go to the website, coralgablesrestaurantweek.com, and the menus are already there. So you can kind of do a little reconnaissance and see, what it is you want. And some of them are offering some of their, and the dishes are not necessarily small or anything. It's just everybody's putting out like their best selection.
So you know, we see these events, and it's not just, you know, to create a special activity in the city, but it's also to build business and to create more economic growth in the city. Tell me about, you know, does it attract more business?
Absolutely. Actually, this is our 6th year. And we started this really after the downturn in the economy in 2008. And the reason it comes in June is because that is when typically we see a little bit of drop off in business.
Okay.
It's when the kids are out of school, a lot of people are planning their vacations. And now everybody kind of looks forward to it every year, but it really helps kind of push everyone into the summer and allows them for a bump in business. And absolutely, it represents an increase in their business.
So this year, it's not just go to these restaurants that are participating and that's it. I mean, you've got other events that are going around. Really exciting stuff. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. With so many new great restaurants, we were trying to figure out a way to really celebrate Coral Gables and the dining scene. So we challenged our own restaurants back in January, and everybody sat down and put on their thinking caps. And we always do a launch to Restaurant Week, which is called Taste of the Gables, which is very popular at the Westin Colonnade. And I tell your viewers, buy your tickets now.
Yes.
But this year, not only are we doing that, we're doing other ticket events inside the restaurant. So for example, Swine Restaurant's doing a midnight table that's limited only to 20 people, and they're actually inviting a guest chef, Chef Giorgio from the Eating House, to come that night and do a surprise menu for their guests.
And that's at night. That's almost at 11 or midnight.
It's at midnight. They say
they're very popular.
Absolutely.
They happen all around, you know, in other cities, and they're great.
Yeah, this is the first time we do it here in Coral Gables, so we're very excited. We're doing a wine dinner where we're flying in a winemaker from France at Seasons 52.
Wow.
We're doing a special pizza making with a chef at Chibo, which should be a lot of fun, I think. And then Talavera's doing an Enchilada Madness selection. So again, if we go to the website and check out, there's a lot going on, and there's something for every palate and every price point. So we're really excited.
Thank you, Mari. Great information. Really excited about it.
Thank you.
Wait.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So if you want more information, or like Mari said, if you want to look at the menus and start planning your activities for the month of June, definitely go to Coral Gables restaurantweek.com. We'll be right back with more of Coral Gables Now.
Things can get pretty ugly when you're bored. In an after-school program, you can find something way better to do.
Welcome back to Coral Gables Now. We are on the rooftop of the building on Ponce. Beautiful views behind me, but this building itself has gotten a lot of recognition for obvious reasons because of its beauty. It received the 2012 Project of the Year by the National Association of Industrial and Office Properties South Florida chapter. It was also the recipient of the City Beautiful Award by the Coral Gables Chamber of Commerce. Now there's one lady in our city that has also received a lot of recognition, but from the confectionery industry. I'm talking about Lucila, and if you love cakes, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Coral Gables is proud to call her a resident. Rodolfo Roman has her story.
Bucky's, what started in a Coral Gables kitchen, has become a success story. We are outside the Warehouse of Art by Lucila, home of the great tasting cakes. Come with me as we go inside the area to find out how they make these cakes, and we sit down one-on-one with the creator herself. Coral Gables resident Lucila Jimenez baked cakes from home to make an income right before her child graduated school. But she never could have predicted that a hobby would turn out to be a great business venture. Jimenez owns Sweet Art by Lucila's, home of these mouth-watering rum cakes.
Making cakes in my home in Coral Gables, illegal.
Officials informed her that it was against the law to run a business from her Coral Gables home, so she opened up a store nearby her house in 1996.
Somebody gave a complaint, and I had to move out, which was a blessing, because I really enjoy my house now, to be able to cook and not to have all the syrup and the cakes all over the tables and all over the house. Actually, I was making all by myself, just with one lady working with me, I was making like 60 to 100 cakes a week.
The cake recipe comes from a famous Puerto Rican TV chef. Jimenez studied with her for years and saved the recipe. She says the cake is like no other.
The recipe of the cake has many qualities. You know, it's a moist cake. It grows, you know, some cakes, when you make it out of a box, they have a big dome on top. This one grows very flat, you know, in good shape. It like I said, it's moist and it keeps the moisture for a long time. It lasts outside refrigeration for a week at least.
Jimenez has seen success and has now added other baked goods like these tasty muffins. This is the warehouse where the creative minds come together to create the masterpiece that you eat. For instance, this one right here is celebrating Ramon's birthday. And this one is in honor of the NBA champions Miami Heat. Jimenez's designs have caught the attention of major corporations who have ordered cakes with specific designs. Like this cake in celebration of the late actress Julia Childs. Although this entrepreneurial resident has established a remarkable cake empire, Jimenez continues to seek out new opportunities to sweeten the lives of more people.
I really want to move my cakes farther away from South Florida and I have always, I am a dreamer.
All right, thanks, Rodolfo. I am a big fan of those cakes. And that does it for this edition of Coral Gables Now. I hope you enjoyed the show and I hope you enjoyed these beautiful views that we have behind us. We'll see you next month.